All right. Let's go.
We will launch a new age.
Mind control weapons.
Okay. So let's see here. Why don't I start this out and then you can
Sure.
You can keep the momentum going here. This is an interesting day. We are about a little over a week out from the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
On 8/8.
The madness continues. Oh, does it continue? An interesting update on this. There really hasn't been any significant updates on the actual documents received, or, as far as the official announcements have gone, not much has changed over the weekend. However, there was this article from Newsweek.com. The headline, Breitbart slammed for doxing FBI agents involved in Mar-a-Lago raid. Oopsie daisies. You know what? Doxing. So disrespectful. Conservative media outlet Breitbart is facing criticism for publishing the names of FBI agents involved in the raid of former President Donald Trump's home. This term, and it just rings a bell every time I see it now. Which outlets are using raid, which are not using raid. We're told it wasn't a raid. You're not supposed to say raid. It was a search warrant, even though that's what a raid is, like what you call a raid. That's just what it is.
They should just change it to a rave,
A rave.
Just
the rave at former
the FBI
Donald the raid
was
rave.
involved in a rave with President Donald Trump.
It would give a nice sort of fun, flair to it.
Yeah.
But it's funny. You're not supposed to say raid. However, pretty much every outlet still continues to say raid. So there's this weird sort of double speak going on there. Breitbart published a leaked version of the Mar-a-Lago search warrant, including the names of an FBI special agent and supervisor agent on Friday. The agents both signed their names on receipts for property seized from Trump's home, including boxes of classified documents that reportedly may have included nuclear secrets. Ooh.
May have included.
May have, yes.
And what nuclear? Okay, we've gone over this. We don't need
a
to talk about
redacted
it.
version of the warrant, which omitted the names of the agents, was officially released hours later. And then it goes into commentators soon took to Twitter to accuse Breitbart, an outlet previously managed by former Trump advisor Steve Bannon, of doxing, the practice of identifying a person or releasing personal information about them, often with the aim of enabling targeted harassment. Some also accused Trump of leaking the warrant to Breitbart in hopes of targeting the agents. And then it kind of just gives a bunch of tweets. And tweets apparently are still news. So this was an interesting development. I kind of went back and forth on is it actually doxing to use the name of a publicly paid person? It's not really doxing. I mean, maybe if you put out their birthday and their social security and their address and their phone number and their kids' names, that's usually what doxing entails. Simply, having their names unobscured from an official government document, which, I guess they could prefer that information get released to the public either officially or through a FOIA request or something. But
right.
Anyways, doxing, I don't know if that's the right word. However, they are taxpayer-funded government officials, and if they're doing things, that's the alternate conversation to be had about that.
I did speak to, there's somebody that I know who is works at the FBI. Not a handler. Not a handler
You're
officially.
A handler. Yeah,
I'm trying. I'm really trying to get in there, but there's
now. And this is someone who doesn't know. This is just somebody No. They don't really know you as you.
Well, not really.
Do they know what you do? I mean, if they're in the CIA, maybe they are your handler. You're
maybe.
Saying, hey, handler wars. I'm Gonza's handler. Okay, step off my turf, other handler.
So I asked this person who describes themselves as a pencil pusher at the FBI. So he always says hey, it's it's not as exciting as people make it out to be on the TV shows and stuff.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. And he was kind of saying that, there wasn't, he had already expressed to me in prior that there's a very small group of people in the FBI that are doing this kind of thing, and we're not really privy to anything. And, we're just kind of doing our jobs day to day. There's a drug bust that we're getting, so he was just kind of saying there's not much. They did get some alerts based on a couple things that I'll mention here following, which is these FBI buildings getting targeted. So he did get a notice from his higher ups about that, which is kind of understandable. A little, a report or just a memo to go out like, hey, watch out. The people are crazy or whatever it is.
Right.
Which is understandable but again, nothing too crazy from his end, from someone working within the FBI, other than maybe some friends
is it
texting
FBI
him.
Or CIA?
No, he's FBI. FBI.
He's FBI.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yes, not the CIA, which, some would argue that it's one and the same at some point, but so nothing super important to report from that little anecdote.
Okay. Well, good.
Just
Love
thought
it.
I'd mention that, a lot of times with this kind of thing, it's the same thing with Freemasonry, like if you're, because a lot of people have family and stuff that are involved in the lower levels and everything. And it's not that they're sitting there going, oh yes, let me get into the club and worship Satan. And maybe, they're not really thinking that. They're more thinking, I'm just part of a club. I'm just helping out the community. And so that's kind of how they get you.
Yeah. But, level 1 Freemasonry is you're pretty much washing dishes at the lodge all day long.
And the golden toilets in the back room there. Yeah.
Right. Now, this isn't without at least some sort of response, whether this was, the alarm to be taken from this is warranted or not. They are certainly bringing attention to some events here that, should have some people worried, according to them. We got this clip from Fox here. Why don't you play this clip?
Oh, yes, this Fox clip. Here, let me full screen it.
Oh, the Fox clip, yeah.
The Fox clip, yeah. Listen to this lady read. It's weird.
Those calls to action playing out today outside the Phoenix FBI building. This is near 7th Street and Deer Valley Road. Several protesters armed with weapons were walking around the area. You see them standing on the corner across from the FBI headquarters. Others hold American flags. And one picture posted online showed a vehicle with the words Trump won on the side, a nod to the false assertion that former President Trump won.
Okay.
That was a weird read. Yeah, is she okay? Was she drunk? Is it either she had one too many martinis at lunch, or
somebody's talking to her in her ear while she's trying to read the prompter?
Yeah, it did kind of sound like that. Or she was had an upset stomach or something. Just a weird read, weird report. Now, if you're looking at the pictures, if you're just listening to the podcast version, there was 5 people, I think, that they could put into one picture at this, this armed
there's one
protesters.
Guy. Yeah. So they first show a guy that's got, your sort of military vest. I think he's holding a gun.
Got a flak jacket. Got his AR style.
He has sunglasses, a hat, and kind of
a lot of camo.
The camo mask. Not a what is that? A mask? What is that considered?
Gator.
And then they show a guy in overalls with a Confederate flag.
Yeah, it's a fun collection. It was almost like a cartoonish collection of people. You've got the sort of hyper militarized looking camo man. Then you've got the Farmer John with his bucket hat carrying a Confederate flag and his denim overalls. It's in total about 5 people. But the report,
corner,
they're really at one street corner, And I love the part of the read where it's they were armed with weapons. It's okay. That is what that means.
And also, holding American flags, as if that is there's something wrong with holding an American flag.
There were reports about a truck that said Trump won on it. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, connecting this all to the crazy January 6th extremists, the terrorists, but a pretty small group here. But that's not all. It wasn't just about this one event here.
Yeah.
You've also got this story from the Daily Mail, Guns.
Yeah, Daily Mail reported FBI office gunman was U.S. Navy veteran who'd been on Bureau's radar for months. Oh, really? Always on people's the FBI's radar for months.
Always been on their radar for months. And
I've
yet...
asked the FBI guy about that, by the way. We were at a dinner thing. And I did ask him, I was like, how come you guys seem to have tracks of the shooters and some of the stuff? And he's kind of like, well, we profile a lot of people.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great response. Right. Yeah, we profile everybody. Yeah, everybody's been on our radar.
It's like, all right.
On the FBI. Yeah, you should have asked him about the kidnapping plot of Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh, yeah.
About that.
A lot of he is at least to me, he expressed how he's a Trump supporter. He's a supporter of free speech and Second Amendment and all that stuff. So he's a good American,
Right, good.
But anyway, so here's the story. Ricky Walter Schiffer Jr. The 3-name thing is kind of a intelligence.
Always 3 names.
And a junior, 42 years old, died on Thursday after trying to breach an FBI field office. The man who was killed in a police shootout after attacking the FBI field office in Ohio was a Navy veteran who once had top secret clearance and had been under FBI investigation for months, according to new reports. Ricky Walter Schiffer Jr., 42, this is the same thing. Quote, I'm sorry, not a quote. Schiffer's post on Donald Trump's Truth Social platform.
Oh, he was on Truth Social.
Yep. Suggest that he undertook the doomed attack in revenge for the FBI's raid and search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence earlier this week.
What does that mean? Why does somebody feel it's their job to take revenge for Trump?
Yeah, how come we called this too?
It kind of fits. You're right. You did almost literally call this exact thing last week.
Yeah.
And it is so weird because it matches so many of what we've seen with these specifically FBI operations where they know about a guy. The guy happens to already have training.
Yeah.
He's on social media. He's ripe.
He's on Truth Social. This is perfect. Yeah.
For being sort of radicalized and somehow gets the idea in his head that it's his job to do something about it, as if that makes any sense. I mean, this man obviously was troubled in one way or another. I mean, it just the idea that you could single-handedly storm a random FBI field office in Ohio as revenge for a Florida raid on Mar-a-Lago. It just doesn't fit, man. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It fits perfectly because it doesn't fit.
Right.
It is
from our worldview, it fits perfect. I mean, the pattern is very obvious to people that have been looking at this for a long time. And to that perspective, that it's obvious. It's like, of course.
Yeah.
Schiffer had been an enlisted sailor who served aboard the USS Columbia attack submarine, a job that requires top secret clearance, and also served as an infantryman in Florida National Guard. The Wall Street Journal reported.
Florida National Guard.
Yeah.
That's the connection.
As well, the FBI confirmed that it had been investigating Schiffer for months in connection with the U.S. Capitol riot.
Oh, that's interesting.
And another matter. We don't talk. But the Bureau said that it was not aware of a specific and credible threat.
Oh, sure. You've been investigating him for months. So he wasn't just known. He was under investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay.
Cool. Police are seen. So there's a picture here of the police on the interstate. There's a picture of a submarine. Yeah, Navy submarine.
Cool submarine.
Later on here, I don't want to read through every little thing here because it goes through kind of his history in the Navy. And the part that I wanted to get to here, the Navy declined to comment. Schiffer left the Navy in 2003 as a fire control technician. Later down here, federal investigations are...
it January 6th.
Yeah. Right. He was there like the day before or something like that. Federal investigators are examining social media accounts they believe are tied to Schiffer, according to law enforcement officials. At least one of the messages on Trump's Truth social media platform appeared to have been posted after Schiffer tried to breach the FBI office. It read, quote, "If you don't hear from me, it is true I tried attacking the FBI." Wow. I mean,
after he did it,
yeah,
though?
allegedly, yeah. But I mean, you have to post, especially for Truth Social, you have to post after you try, right? Another message posted.
Well, I mean, the message is, hey, if you don't hear from me again, then I did something crazy.
Right.
But to do it after you've been arrested.
I don't know if it's after he was arrested. It's after he breached the FBI office.
So he posted like from inside the office?
From his phone while he was driving away or something. Another message posted.
I need more details.
Another message posted on the same site this week from @Ricky W. Schiffer Jr. included a call to arms and urged people to be ready for combat after the FBI search at Trump Mar-a-Lago's Florida estate. Schiffer, sporting body armor, attempted to break into the agency's Cincinnati field office, prompting a 5-hour standoff with authorities. He fled the office and was chased onto the highway before abandoning his car by a cornfield on a country road just off of Interstate 71. Like a perfect movie. Cornfield. Authorities are also looking into whether Schiffer, a Navy veteran, had ties to far-right extremist groups like the Proud Boys. Schiffer was armed with a nail gun.
Shouldn't they know this already? Well, they've been investigating him for months.
Well, they couldn't find anything. They couldn't find anything, so they're still looking. Schiffer was armed with a nail gun.
Okay.
And an AR-15 style rifle when he tried to breach the visitor screening area at the FBI office Thursday, according to officials. Schiffer fled when agents confronted him. I think that's when he truthed. Was when he fled the scene.
I don't know.
He got on his phone and he's like,
suspicious.
He was later spotted by a state trooper along a highway and got into a gun battle that ended with police killing him, authorities said.
Why the nail gun? Now, Gons, have you used a nail gun? Do you have experience with a nail gun?
Yes. I'm not very crafty, but I have used a nail gun.
I have only used nail guns that require an air compressor to be connected to it. Are there nail guns that don't need an air compressor? Is this like
I don't know.
Staple gun type of thing?
Maybe it was a stapler. An actual stapler. They're calling a nail gun.
Yeah, he was just angry because somebody took his stapler.
Yeah. There's a couple more things to point out here, and then we'll move on.
Okay.
The burst of violence unfolded amid FBI warnings that federal agents could face attacks following the search in Florida. I think that's what the guy I was talking to was mentioning. The FBI is investigating what happened in Cincinnati as an act of domestic extremism, according to law enforcement officials. And we know about that. They've been planning this for a long time. So this fits right in. And then Schiffer is believed to have been in Washington in the days leading up to January 6, 2021 insurrection and may have been at the Capitol that day, but was not charged with any crimes in connection with the riot, the official said. Officials have warned of a rise in right-wing threats against federal agents since the FBI entered Trump's estate and what authorities said was part of an investigation of whether he took classified documents with him after leaving the White House. So always connected back to that. And just look at all the crazy people rising up. And that's kind of the theme here today, and it's all sort of tied to this bigger psyop going on.
Okay, don't worry, everybody. I have discovered you can get cordless electric nail guns, but you still need to press it onto a surface in order for the nail. Maybe he was going to like nail a door shut or something. Anyways.
Trap him all inside until they give us our freedom.
That's how he barricades himself in. Speaking of barricade, there was another story. APnews.com.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
This is a headline. Police man killed himself after ramming U.S. Capitol barrier. Okay.
Oh, another Capitol assault.
Another Capitol, yeah. A man drove his car into a barricade near the U.S. Capitol early Sunday and then began firing gunshots.
Did he drive his barricade between the velvet ropes, though? Come on. Where's the video footage?
I don't know.
January 6th joke there for everybody.
Let's see. So yes, I'm just going to start over. A man drove his car into a barricade near the U.S. Capitol early Sunday and then began firing gunshots in the air before fatally shooting himself, according to police, who said he did not seem to be targeting any member of Congress. The incident happened just before 4 a.m. I wonder if it was like 3:33 a.m. at a vehicle barricade set at East Capitol Street and Northeast and 2nd Street Southeast in Washington. It comes at a time when law enforcement authorities across the country are facing an increasing number of threats, and federal officials have warned about the potential of violent attacks on government buildings in the days since the FBI's search of former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Florida. The attack is reminiscent of an incident when a man drove a vehicle into 2 Capitol police officers at a checkpoint in April 2021, killing an 18-year veteran of the force, and many on Capitol Hill remain on edge after supporters of the then president stormed the Capitol on January 6th, 2021. Authorities said the man, identified as Richard A. York III, 29. How come they're always juniors and thirds?
I don't know. This is very
weird.
interesting. Yeah.
So Richard A. York III, 29 years old, of Delaware, crashed into the barricade, and that he was getting out of the car. The vehicle became engulfed in flames. The man then opened fire, firing several shots into the air as police approached. The police said that the man shot himself as the officers neared. He was later pronounced dead. And it goes on to say that they quote one of the officers here, quote, "We don't have any information and what would indicate his motivation at this point." So that's kind of where this article leaves it. Okay. But based on the patterns here, I feel that they are activating some members who have been who may have been part of a more nefarious psychological operation of our people in service. You know, it's something that folks like Russ Dizdar have talked about. He talked specifically about this thing called the Black Awakening, the rise of the Satanic super soldiers. And basically his thesis is that there are millions of satanic ritual victims, a lot of mind control victims, especially in the military, who are or have been for decades probably trained and
like
brought
the
up.
sleeper agent,
the sleeper agents, yeah. So there seems to be that kind of thing going on, and it's very useful in creating narratives that, well, one, not a narrative, more of an actual altercation with our institutions like the FBI, which polarizes, politically. But also you can physically destroy buildings and stuff like that. You have more excuse for funding. You have more excuse for surveillance. I mean, all the stuff that you'd want. Right. You can
pretty well established.
Yeah.
Pattern.
But at the same time, I feel like this is, we're going to see more of this. We're going to see more and more of this. Every time there's an event like this, it's always very suspicious that they always have some kind of connection to intelligence, FBI, all that stuff. It's always the same.
One of the recent shooters, this was the Highland Park shooter, I want to say, although there were so many close together. Yeah. I don't want to necessarily, I don't know, get the details wrong, but it was I believe it was the Highland Park shooter whose dad was an FBI agent or something like that, right?
Right, yeah.
Or he was an FBI informant. He had helped the FBI with something. Yeah. So there's always some weird connection. So speaking of, and this is all, of course, being framed around, Trump commands an army of lunatics who will do crazy things to take revenge for political actions against Trump or whatever. This particular one, the U.S. Capitol barricade one, particularly strange because he didn't shoot at anyone. There seemed to be no point. I mean, it simply seemed to be suicide by cop. Right. Is what it, seems to. I mean, that's really the only thing there. He shot into the air. He didn't even shoot at officers. Now it continues here. It ramps up a little bit over here at the Daily Mail. Excuse me. FBI Bulletin. So this was a bulletin. FBI Bulletin.
Oh, FBI Bulletin. My original title here says DHS Bulletin, but okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. The one that I have now says FBI Bulletin. I wonder if your FBI handler there knew about this one. FBI Bulletin warns of dirty bomb threat and increasing calls for civil war in wake of Mar-a-Lago raid, while former agent and GOP Representative Brian Fitzpatrick says agency warned him that his life was in danger due to threats from Trump supporters. So Trump supporters threatening GOP member, apparently. The FBI is warned of a dirty bomb threat and increasing calls for civil war after agents raided Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Remember when they said, we were trying to not make it a media circus?
Yeah. And we said, yeah, right.
Yeah, they basically triggered like a whole section of Trump supporters to do crazy things, or alleged Trump supporters, at least. The Bureau said in a leaked memo they had received an uptick in violent threats on social media following the morning search last week. The chilling note reveals plans to put a dirty bomb in front of the agency's headquarters amid a suggested armed rebellion. It comes as House GOP Representative Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania revealed he was told his life was in danger amid the fallout. The former FBI agent said he was threatened by some of the same people who are heaping verbal attacks against the federal law enforcement. That's such a vague thing to say. Yeah, some of the same people who are heaping verbal attacks against the FBI were threatening him, I guess. Okay. Yeah, weird. Kind of a weird thing to say.
Bomb threat also equivalent to person that's not happy with the FBI.
Yeah, right. As again, good point. That's what's a great thing to point out. Again, connecting speech with violence.
Right.
Last Monday morning, agents executed, and then it talks about the Mar-a-Lago thing. But dirty bomb, that's a new one. A dirty bomb attack on the FBI headquarters. And it's the Daily Mail, so it just says the same thing over and over and over. It does a couple paragraphs down. It said the FBI and DHS have, quote, identified multiple articulated threats and calls for the targeted killing of judicial, law enforcement, and government officials associated with the Palm Beach search. That's the Mar-a-Lago search, and the federal judge who approved the Palm Beach search warrant. It also highlights an incident last week when an armed Navy veteran tried to force his way into the FBI's Cincinnati office. We talked about that one. Yeah. So, and it goes on, just more of this sort of chatter, as they would say in the intelligence industry that I am taking from like movies and stuff. Chatter. We're getting a lot of chatter.
Right.
Now, speaking of chatter, Gons, this is going to sort of morph into our next section. We will take a very quick break before this, but this came across my desk, the desk here at the Basel headquarters. This is not just sort of FBI memos going out. This is not just, sort of politically motivated. This is being connected to what we've been sort of dissecting, deconstructing recently, which we think is of the utmost importance, not just of its whatever level of reality is connected to this, but also, as Christian people, the church here, we need to pay attention to how sort of our story has been told, not just by, the government or the media, but also others who are claiming, the same thing, to be part of the church. This Christian nationalism that has been identified, the theocratic threat to American democracy, being sort of narrativized in the media, not just in, on the news channels, but very deeply being sort of constructed in print and digital media as well. And we're going to get into that. There's some very interesting details, but this video came across, which is being shared around, and it's from, what are they called? I don't even know if I should plug the Instagram account.
Whatever. Yeah. It's on Instagram.
It's basically like a social justice-y, media activism type of thing. It's it's got a bit of a militant feel to it, kind of like an Antifa type feel. I'm not going to say they're affiliated with Antifa or whatever, but their logo is like a guy in a gas mask, and they're very sort of got this militant feel to them. But they shared out this video. I don't know if this was created by them or whatnot, but it's kind of a mashup of some social media posts. And the reason I'm showing this here is, again, it's important for everybody to have direct knowledge of what is influencing the people who are all fired up about Christian nationalism, what that means, what are they experiencing, what are they basing their theories and fears on, things like that. And we have this video here, Gons. Hopefully we censored it a little bit.
I hope I caught all of it. If not, I apologize ahead of time. But yeah, I did do some editing to clean some stuff up because it could be a little...
Okay, good. There's a couple little things in there. This is a family show. Now, again, the reason that I want to show this is because when we come in contact with people who are of this line of thinking, and I have very good longtime friends who are, who are kind of in the milieu of what you're about, are the people who have the very specific fears about theocracy and Christian nationalism. And it sounds redonkulous when I hear them talk about how scared they are. And these people know that I'm a Christian, it's just, we have a very interesting sort of back and forth about this, but it sounds ridiculous until you watch this video and realize this is what they're getting fed day in and day out. Let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, it's go time. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Democrat Nazis have gone too far.
Dear IRS, we the people accept your civil war. We've been waiting for this for a long time.
They have started a civil war. What are you going to do? Pick up the inside.
Give me 5,000 fucking willing souls and we go to war.
And
middle finger.
If you can live with Democrats, you're fixing to start something. I don't think you ain't Nick man, smart enough.
You are no longer a federal agent, you are a target.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it's Wild Wild West. Get it on.
it's on.
Fight like you've never fought before. I will go out in a blaze of glory before I turn against my Heavenly Father or before I turn against this country. Know that.
What about you makes you think that this war is not going to reach you? Because I guarantee it is.
Yeah, that last guy has some weird, like, either contacts in or some kind of eye whitening filter that makes him look like crazy.
Snapchat filter that makes his eyes look white, like his,
like he's a crazy person.
Like he's a crazy person or some sort of demon or something. Now, let's admit here that these are clips taken from people's social media. Of course, there's crazy people all over the place, so it wouldn't be hard to find people like this or people coming from the other side calling for violence. We definitely saw that for over the past few years. And it's edited together. It's all kind of out of context. Again, I don't have any idea what the full context of this is, but the point I'm trying to make here is, you get enough of these videos floating around of seeming militia people, calling on the name of God and talking about civil war, calling IRS agents targets and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And you get enough of this scrolling past your social media feed, of course you're gonna fear the right-wing wackos. Mix that with mainstream reporting.
Either fear them or sort of be like, we gotta, you're right, we gotta come together, we gotta fight the tyranny, that kind of thing. So it's either one or the other, I suppose.
Or empower the intelligence agencies, empower the FBI. That's been part of the fun about this whole thing is suddenly you now have liberal Democrats who, of course, in the early 2000s were anti-war, anti-government, anti-law enforcement. I mean, it was only 2 years ago, defund the police, defund the this, that. And now it's totally switched. It's a very effective psychological operation to suddenly get, left-leaning Democrat liberal people to be in full support of the FBI, regardless of, in the early 2000s, a lot of people don't remember this. In the early 2000s, the FBI was doing the same thing that they're doing now, which is infiltrating a group, setting people up, radicalizing young men on the internet, equipping them, and then busting them and, using it as some sort of victory march. They were doing the same thing to people of Middle Eastern descent in the early 2000s. It's not a new tactic. They just changed their target. It used to be they were doing it to people, Muslims, people of Middle Eastern descent, things like this. They were doing the exact same operations. And you had the left going bonkers on the FBI for this exact reason, telling them, that they were defund the FBI before the right was recently. Yeah. But whatever effective psychological operation, which I think this video and others like it are a part of that. It is definitely a hedge against the potential defunding of the FBI. And again, goes back to the midterms. You got to get Democrats to come vote in the midterms because Republicans have already committed to defunding the FBI, perhaps even disbanding it, et cetera, et cetera. So we got to make you afraid of all these crazy gun-toting, hillbillies, so we can support the FBI, keep them going. And it's all wrapped up in this Christian nationalist threat narrative that's been going around, of which there has been not insignificant developments. Thank you.